Hey guys, this is Neena Perez. How are you? Today is Monday. I love Mondays. And today we're going to talk about I still wanted to dig in a little bit about the fears and the mindset, especially when you're trying to start your own thing, right? But first, I want to welcome you to another episode of WINJECT Radio presented by WINJECT Studios. I am Neena Perez from Straight Talk No Sugar Added, and I'm so freaking stoked that you're here with me today. So Mondays is my time here on WINJECT TV. It's at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I hope that you come and join me and share with other people so they can come and watch as well. Now, if you're here and you are watching a replay, just go ahead and hit replay, tag it on the bottom so I know that you're watching. Also, leave me a comment because I love to communicate with all of you. So you can also text our community number, which is 1-843-396-2104. And you can just put Neena on there and then whatever it is you want to tell me, and I'll make sure to get back to you. So hang out with me, guys. Hang out with me here. Hang out with me behind the scenes and with other people that are on this platform because it's freaking awesome. And we have like a bunch of hosts and podcasters, official partners, special guests, Jess Lee's Road Show, which is super fun to watch. There's so many great things back there. So I want to make sure that you join us. And if you're a podcaster, I've been talking to a lot of you about joining because it's a really great way to increase your engagement, your downloads, to try to develop some income, things like that. Good morning. So, I really want you to be a part of that. So if you're somebody who consumes podcasting, you can also join to be connected to your favorite podcasters. But if you are a podcaster, I highly recommend you check us out. And it's winject.com/join. All right. So I'm really glad. And I think I got most of that out of the way because I really want to make sure that you guys are engaged. That's super important to me. I've been working a lot with a lot of like really high performing women. It's been actually phenomenal. And so a lot of these women are CEOs, CFOs, just leaders in their field. And so I've been working with them and realizing that there's a lot of things that come up, especially being stuck and having this fear factor that comes up with different things. So I wanted to touch on that today. Now, last week, if you missed it, please go catch the replay because that was phenomenal. I had Chris Ross on here and he dropped so many freaking gems about the mindset of a CEO. If you missed that, you have to catch it. I'm being super serious right now. You have to catch it. All right. So just to name a few of the little tiny gems that he dropped was to use your skills. If you are an employee right now, use that skill set to develop your mindset of a CEO and your know-how on how to actually like develop an increase. And while you're doing that, maybe you're doing it under someone else, but that does not mean you can't use your mindset and your skill set to develop you. And that was awesome. Another thing that he said that I stuck with me all week and probably for the rest of my life, he said, you are the CEO of your life first. You are the CEO of your life first. And that was like, I mean, it seems like logical, right? But it really did something to me, shifted my mind, and I realized that in order for me to keep moving forward in all the things I want to do, I have to realize that I need to get my life together too, because I'm the CEO of my life first. And I thought that was super key last week for me. Also, he talked about success is about exposure, like really just going out there and exposing, your skill sets and who you are, and exposure about the people that are around you, who you are actually surrounding yourself with, which was super powerful, right? So mindset that even on the hard days, because I asked him, so what do you do when you want to freaking give up? He said, it's not an option. It's not an option. Right. And he broke it down for us. I mean, it was awesome. I'm seriously, I can't say this enough. If you missed last week's episode on the live last Monday, please catch that. Super freaking important. Right. So what I wanted to talk about was like taking all of that in and also just like really coming up with some true, real talk. Right. Because sometimes we begin to have this vision and stuff that we want to have as our reality, but we realize that while we're in it, maybe it's not as easy as we thought this was going to be, right? So then all of a sudden, your fears come up and your beliefs that you don't think you can do it, and that will get in your way. That will get in your way. All right. And it will stop that vision that you have for your life, or stop that progress, because you don't believe you can do it. And you start to become afraid, right? And the key to this is you have to find the solutions to the problem. You have to find the solution, right? So instead of letting all of your emotions of fear and doubt and all this stuff come up, you have to find a way to get that out of the way, right? So get fear and self-doubt out of the way, because, truth is, tomorrow's coming. Right. So last week I was struggling. I had a really tough time, mentally and emotionally. It was all over the place. I don't know why. I was discouraged and all. And I realized it's because I put hard deadlines on something that I wanted to create, and it did not come as fast as I wanted it to. Therefore, so did the doubt, and so did all of this unbelief, and I can't believe I'm not doing it. Why didn't I do this yet? Blah, blah, blah. And all that started to come in. And I realized now I can sit in that mess, which I did for about a day or two. I'm not going to lie to you. Or I can actually do something to try to come up with a solution, because tomorrow's coming, right? Now, we're not promised tomorrow, but I may be here tomorrow. And if I'm here tomorrow, right, then I actually want to be able to look at that and accomplish that. Exactly, Lillian. Thank you. So the truth is you don't know, how you can actually do something, and how far you can get if you don't put yourself out there and try, right? A CEO should know how to reach out. A CEO should know how to actually develop some sort of strategies to get themselves moving, right? So I had to talk to myself. I'm like, Neena, you're the CEO of your life first. So thank you, Chris, for that wisdom. Right. So when I started to sit there and started, even for the moments that I was kind of boo-hooing about it, I realized that, what is your mindset telling you, and what is it that you have to change? Now, this is the great work that I do with a lot of these CEOs and CFOs and stuff that I work with, because I have come through a lot in my life and have developed a lot of strategies to get myself to the goal, or to whatever it is I want to do, right? And I'm learning as I go as well. So when I start to have this fear and self-doubt and all this stuff that gets in the way, because I don't care who you are, I don't care how many businesses you have, I don't care how much money you have, everybody struggles at some point with fear and self-doubt, right? You don't know unless you actually really recognize that you might be going through this, right? So when you're going through that place, what do you do? What are some of the things that you can do, right? Maybe if you don't know something, or if you don't know how to get unstuck, reach out to a business friend, or a mentor, or your coach, or maybe a group that you're a part of, or something like that. If they don't know it, maybe they know someone who does know, how to get out of this, maybe not the mindset in particular, but maybe there is a skill set or something that you need that you realize you don't know, and that's causing you to have this roadblock, right? So remember that you're the one with the vision. You don't necessarily have to be the one that knows how to solve all the problems, right? You should know how to reach out to find people, experts, thought leaders, mentors that'll help you through these hard times, right? Or the times where you feel stuck. You don't have to know everything, right? And that's one of the problems, when you get down to it, we think we have to know it all, and you don't, right? That's why you have to aim to open up your mind and see what it is you want to do to develop your team of capable people that you can trust to solve a problem. While you keep on having your vision, trying to develop the next steps, trying to move yourself forward, trying to move the business forward. You don't have to do everything, guys. You don't have to do everything. I was doing that in the beginning. Oh my gosh, I was going nuts trying to do the social media, the editing, the podcast editing, the this, the that, it's too much. So I started to delegate the tasks. And so that way my time was free to do the content and the research that I have to do to help others, instead of worrying about, oh, did I post today? Right? You have to be humble enough to know and admit that you have some issues, some fears, and that you have to start to uncover those fears, because sometimes those fears is what holding you back from even getting that team, because you're afraid that they're going to be able to maybe do it better than you, or maybe create something you didn't think of or something like that. And you start to like have a little bit of a self-doubt, right? You have to be humble enough to admit that you have some fears. Be specific about those things too. When you start to sit back with yourself, hey Neens, why are you acting this way right now? What are these fears? What's going on here? Right? I'll tell you some of the most common that I've run into with the CEOs and the executives that I've been working with is that they have like like almost all the same type of fears, maybe in different contexts, but about the same. So a lot of them, and you might recognize some of this in yourself if you're starting your own business, if you're going to become your own CEO, if you're trying to develop more of strategies around what you want to have in your business, in your life, the fear of saying no, right? If you don't want to miss that big opportunity, or that, that thing that came your way. And how do you say no? This might be the biggest opportunity ever. Right? And the truth is like right now, especially because now I'm getting my name out there more. I'm trying to grow organically in my social media. I'm just being authentically me. A lot of people are coming at me now with a ton of opportunities. And in the beginning, I was like, oh, yes, click, yes, click, yes, click, yes, click. And I was realizing that I was inundated with information, but I was still starving for wisdom, because I have too much information and I couldn't even decipher all of it and what was happening anyway, what was going on. So the fear of saying no, right? That you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss that big thing, right? Fear of making a decision, so you maybe procrastinate about it, you walk around it, you maybe tomorrow you'll leave it on your desk, you might get to it later, right? This fear of making a solid decision that may or may not be popular with other people, right? So what's the next one? The fear of offending someone, right? Sometimes business owners or business leaders are so afraid to say anything or do anything that might be polarizing, right? Because of this fear, this this fear of offending someone else. Guys, you're going to, because if you're trying to start your own business and you have a vision, not everybody's going to be on board with you. Not everybody's going to be in that vision with you. And so you are going to offend some people. It's how it goes. And I'm sure that you've been offended too by people, but they kept it moving, right? And sometimes we go through this fear, or at least with these women I've been talking to and myself, are the fear of outsourcing or managing a team, right? It seems too complicated. It's too expensive. There's too many moving parts and too many people that I have to look for and so that also causes this fear, right? Fear of offending is a big one, right, Lillian? I mean, and this is something that a lot of us go through. We will go through that fear of offending other people because we don't want to be mean, or we don't want to be cruel, we don't want to offend. And will that affect our business, right? So that becomes an issue. Sometimes, like I said before, even the outsourcing, like even like trusting my social media manager with my content, with my stuff, right? That's a big one, because you have to realize that you're outsourcing this. And another one is managing a team, because as you start to grow, you start to realize this is your team. Your social media person is part of your team. The person editing is part of your team. And these people become really important to you, but it becomes a little bit complicated, right? Because now you're dealing with a lot of other people dealing with your stuff. Financial fears. Anybody have that? Fear that you won't make enough money, or that you will lose it, right? That you can't increase your income, that you can't increase your team, that you feel like you're hitting this wall, you're financially afraid. That happens. These are normal fears. One that I thought was very interesting, especially with a lot of the women that I've been working with, and I had to check myself, is that fear of success. You don't even know if you're capable of handling more right now, more clients, more responsibility, more product management, more team management. Sometimes that fear of like, can I do this? Right? That fear of success, that happens. It happens. And it happens like more than I thought it did. I really realized that, you don't really completely, get out of that fear as your team starts to grow. Like, because now you have more people, more responsibilities, more people that you have to pay, right? So you have to make sure you have the income coming in and that you can keep these people employed. And this becomes a fear. A fear of success is a real thing, right? And people are like, no, I'm not afraid of anything. Yes, you are. Everybody has fears. And even Lord Chris Ross, who I had on last week, he even said that. He goes, I don't care what you say, everybody has fears. And I just wish that a lot of people, more people would admit that. Like sometimes when I have people come on to my coaching program, the first thing they say is, "Oh, I'm not afraid of that. I just, want to know what I do with this employee that's annoying." No, okay, let's talk about that. And then when we dig in, it actually is a fear. It's a fear of managing a team. It's a fear of having success. A lot of these things just creep up, right? So what I wanted to do is to have you define and refine your fears. What exactly is stunting your growth? I want you to start crushing that. Start getting your stuff moving forward, right? So you need to start being real with yourself. I can only help you, but so much. And you have to really take the reins on this, right? So in order to do that, you have to process identifying those fears. Go back and reflect to what those fears are, right? It's time to get clear. What are you actually afraid of, honestly, right? Remember, our brains work that way. It'll automatically create a shortcut so that you don't have to worry about being uncomfortable. Your brain does not want you to be uncomfortable, right? So you have to do the work to start overcoming these fears because your brain will literally say, nope, you can't do that. Don't worry about that. And on to the next thing because your brain is creating shortcuts, right? It automatically has to get to the next thing because your brain doesn't have like the capacity for all of the things that are around us, right? Think about right now your air conditioning is on or your heat is on, maybe the rumbling outside or your dogs are barking and you're watching this and you're reading and your brain can't get all of that, right? So that's why your brain creates shortcuts, and that's where that fear factor comes in if you don't control it. What does it say? Embrace having difficult conversations with yourself first, then you are able to have them in any person that fits every situation. I guess that's true, right? Because embrace yourself on having those difficult conversations. They are important. So write your fears down, right? And list those fears. They might be a lot, right? You might like write them all down and be like, holy Toledo, how am I going to get through this, right? And that's okay. What you need to do, though, is start tackling your fears one by one and be more specific. Ask yourself, do you notice that you have a pattern with your fears? Do you notice that fears come up more than once? Maybe this came up like before. Now it's here again. Why is this happening? Why am I looking at this right now again? Didn't I already do this? Sometimes we don't realize that our brain is in this stuck like wheel, right? Like this hamster wheel of patterns, and you have to break the patterns, do something differently. All right. Do you notice that you are relating like that your fears are like overarching? For example, I have a few of them where like I cannot go on Facebook, I cannot go live, I cannot go live, I cannot go live, right? And creating their YouTube videos, they're both tying into videos, right? But that's the overarching fear. But let's deal with that fear. What is the fear? Why do you have that fear? Right? Do the work. I love what Chris said last week. He said, I don't do the work for myself now. I do the work for my future self. I do the work so that my daughter in the future will be thankful for what I've done now. Right? So do the work now. Don't worry about it being uncomfortable. It's going to be. Hello? It's going to be uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable. All right? If you have fears and stuff that you don't want to face, well, then reach out to a mentor or a coach or something that can help you with all of that so you can break them down and conquer them one by one. But you have to start doing the work. All right. And as soon as you start honing in on those fears, you're going to realize that you can get through those fears, but you're going to have to ask your fear, is this a large fear? Is this multifaceted? Is this fear, can I break this down? Like, is there a reason why I can't tackle this a little piece at a time? Right? Because clarifying your fears in this way, this is going to help you. This is going to help you handle the real true size of this fear. Because a lot of times it's really not as big as we make it in our minds. And therefore, that stops us from being who we are supposed to be. Right? So you might have fears of the unknown. Oh my God, I've never done this before. I've never done this before. I've never led a team before. I've never started this business before. I've never. So that fear comes in of the unknown, right? Not sure, what steps you're going to take next. How are you even going to handle this? I mean, I already did this part, but what about this? Now what? Right? Maybe you're afraid of like really screwing up. I know I am. I'm always afraid of that because I'm a perfectionist, or I always try to say a recovering perfectionist, if that even exists, because I'm always trying to be the best me, right? Which I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. What I think it's wrong is when you can't even take like some of those fears and like right size those fears, right? Because sometimes screwing up is the best thing that'll ever happen to you. Fear of failure, right? So you're always like afraid of starting something that you might fail at. So people don't start at all. Isn't that the failure itself? Failure is your friend, guys. Failure is your friend. It's feedback. It's transformation. Those are lessons that are going to be learned in your life. Failure is amazing. Thank you, Dominique. That's good because that's how I feel about outsourcing a team. Seems like a lot when I can just do it myself, but I know I want to grow my vision and I have to, right? Growth is scary, but it is awesome. That's right, Dominique. It is scary and it is awesome. And you have to realize that it's only scary because we're making it scary. Why don't you change that word in your head? So now instead of scary, say excited, because your brain literally has the same waves when it's scary or excited, right? So just tell your brain what you want it to do. So as soon as you start to feel fear, just start to change it to excitement. You'll see what I mean. It actually gives you the same types of reaction. Okay, so go ahead and try that because I really want you to try. So every time you say it's so exciting that I can develop this team. It's so freaking exciting. And you'll see how you shift the way you think, right? You have to take responsibility for your fears. All right. There's a lot of things that come with fear, and sometimes even responsibility for something else or another human or another family, on clients, your team. All of that is also a fear that comes in. It's okay to have that fear. It is normal to have that fear, right? Maybe you're afraid of looking like you're inadequate. Maybe you think you're not good enough for this. This thing that everybody keeps talking about, which is that imposter syndrome, right? Like you feel like, oh, I'm not really good at this, but everybody thinks I am. I don't know if I really know what I think I really know, right? Soon everybody's going to find out you're an imposter. No, they're not. If you know your stuff, you know your stuff, right? Sometimes you just have to go for it. Try it. Go. What does that say? Change your vocabulary and you change your perception. Exactly. And it's, you know what? It's that easy. I know that it seems super simple, and it is, right? The challenge is that we don't know, we just don't implement it enough in our lives for it to become that pattern in our brain and in our life that'll help us to move forward, right? So if any of these like fears and stuff sound familiar, the goal is for you to get clear and to turn them into something more precise that you can overcome, all right? So if you're afraid of like speaking in public or being on a live stage or, giving feedback to like a team member, somebody who didn't do the job the way you wanted them to do, you know what I'm saying? That could be uncomfortable and that could be a little bit fearful, right? Maybe it's hard for you to, like I said before, give your stuff to a social media pro to do this for you, or give your stuff to an editor and you're like, oh, I don't really like that. How do you deal with those kind of things, right? Allowing others to like come in and help you, right? Allowing your leaders to become leaders. A lot of times we have managers and directors and chiefs and blah, 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 and none of them can do anything because you won't allow them. So you have titles to have titles. It makes your business look good, but you're not doing anything to allow them to grow and to lead. That is a fear, right? So make sure that you're going back to that list or that fear that you have written down or the fears that you have noticed. Go through each one of them. All right. Categorize them. Are these elusive fears? Are these like even real? Are these definite? What are these? Right? Read The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. Okay. Thank you. All right. We'll do that. So for each elusive fear, try to define them. Try to see what it is that you're really afraid of. Is this just like an overarching thing, or is this a real thing, right? Are you afraid of like messing up if you put something on social media? That's kind of an elusive, big, a vague fear, right? But maybe you need to be more specific. I'm not afraid of messing up on the Facebook or Instagram or wherever it is you post. Maybe I'm afraid of looking immoral. Maybe I'm afraid of looking too harsh. Maybe 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 that is the problem. Not I fear messing up, but more specifically why, right? I love getting down to the specifics because then we can break them out and pull them apart so that they're not an emotional stance for you. So make sure that you are looking at your fears and then breaking them down, all right? You are a freaking human being. You're going to make a shitload of mistakes, right? But you will go a really long way if you start to look at these fears and start to eradicate them, okay? You will learn a lesson from each one of them. Look over your stuff, right? Like let's just use the one I just used. So let's say that the example is I'm afraid of messing up on social media and saying things that are too harsh or whatever it is. So then learn from that. Learn from it. Okay. So that maybe you put something out there you shouldn't have, and you're like, crap, I shouldn't have put that. Maybe that'll teach you a lesson of looking over your content in the future, looking over what it is you're trying to do before you release something, right? Before you have a product, before you meet that new client, whatever it is, understand that these are mistakes. These are mistakes that are okay, but they don't take away from you being very capable of running your own business or leading a team. Okay. Just because you make a mistake does not lower your abilities. So take the embarrassment out of the equation and move to your plans. Okay. Just go with it. All right. This is just a little bit of what I'm dealing with when I'm dealing with all of these amazing CEOs and leaders. Okay. Post the stories beforehand. An actual post will allow you not to make the big mistakes in order to pinpoint approach. Thank you for that advice. And that's true, right? So if you put it in stories, it kind of disappears before you actually make it a post. But this will teach you, right? How does Chris know that? Well, because he probably posted something and probably had to pull it, or maybe not, but maybe he's seen it in others. And that happens. You will learn from your mistakes. Okay. I learned not to try to be like a comparison. I don't compare to nobody. Okay. I don't compare to nobody. I can't, because in the beginning, when I was trying to do that, I was losing Neena, and I cannot do that. Okay. I cannot lose myself in the process of comparing myself to someone else's success. I cannot do that. Okay. So no matter what your fears are, these are going to be lessons that you are going to learn. All right. And you're going to create abilities, and you're going to fix your mindset and grow in that mindset and mind flow, emotional intelligence. All right. Anyone can turn their employee or lack of a CEO mindset into the CEO they want to become. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. You might need like a little bit of guidance. You might need a little bit of different perspective, but you can freaking do it. All right. So you might be able now, I hope, as you move forward, to identify some of your fears. But I want you to break down what's a vague fear, an elusive fear, and what's a definite fear to be afraid of. All right. The key here is to zero in on whatever is specific and what provokes the most fear in you, the one that is blocking your growth. What is that? Right? If you're unable to define your fears right now, that's okay. But I encourage you to still move through the process of breaking each one down. Keep yourself moving through all of the lists that you have of these fears so that you can start to break those suckers down, right? Take your time, go through the process, but do the freaking work. Because the deeper that you dig, the deeper that you get specific about your fears, the more progress you're going to make in the long run. So make sure that you do that. Do the work today, now, so that your future self, your future children, your future people that you're going to be in contact with will thank you. All right. So hone in on those fears. You'll want to turn these things into a list, break down the list, see what is actually tangible, what is not elusive. Like, oh, I'm just so afraid of what? Afraid of what? Figure what it is and then break it down, because everything has a solution. Everything has a solution. Maybe it's a pivot. Maybe it's changing the way you think about something. Maybe it's shifting your mindset so that you don't see the same thing the same way you did before. Maybe it's shifting product. Maybe it's shifting your message. I don't know what it is. But what I will say is that you have the right to succeed in this because you can. Because you can. So make sure that you do the work today. Thank you, Chris, for that. That was a gem. Do the work today for your future self, for the people that you will impact in the future. And I'm going to end it with the biggest gem I got last week. You are the CEO of your life first. Write that down, paste it on a wall, whatever you got to do. You are the CEO of your life first. Because I can. Thanks for this, Neena. This is the word for me today in a voice I'm used. Yes, thank you. Oh, thank you so much, Tania. Thank you. But I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me. I am so happy that you guys were like talking to me and leaving comments and all of that, because it really does help me wake up every day to know that I can impact one person at a time, one person at a time. This is Neena Perez. Head on, make sure you click subscribe. Go head on to Straight Talk No Sugar Added. Make sure you subscribe there, share, like the video, leave me comments. I'm trying to grow this community so I can impact one more life. This is Neena Perez. Straight Talk No Sugar Added. Until next time.
This broadcast is brought to you by WINJECT Studios. We are an all-in-one educational platform for podcasters that revolutionizes how hosts leverage content to increase engagement with listeners, downloads, and income. We come together to focus on community, collaboration, and collective impact. For more information on how you can interact directly with our hosts, access exclusive live content with offers you can't get anywhere else from our official partners, join our purpose-driven community by visiting www.winject.com. If you're ready to build a career doing what you love, then we're ready to see you there.